cool dusk of twilight time steals across the meadows of my heart. High up in the sky, the little stars climb, always reminding me that we're apart. You wander down the lane and far away, leaving me a song that will not die. Love is now the stardust of yesterday, the memory of the years gone by. Sometimes I wonder why I spend the lonely nights dreaming of a song, the melody haunts my reverie, and I am once again with you. When our love was new, and each kiss an inspiration. Oh, but that was long ago, and now my consolation is in the stardust of a song beside the garden wall, when stars were bright and you were in my arms. The nightingale tells his fairy tale of paradise where roses bloom, though I dream in vain. In my heart, it always will remain my stardust melody, the memory of love's refrain. Though I dream in vain, in my heart it always will remain my stardust melody, the memory of love's refrain. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. It's so good to see all of you here. I'm so happy to be here with all of you, performing for everyone. I'd like to welcome you all to my senior recital. We just played a piece for you that I love, holds a special place in my heart. It's called Stardust. It's composed by Hoagie Carmichael. And the Bing Crosby version's especially dear to me because my grandpa showed it to me. And I think that it's among the best recordings out there. But hopefully you enjoyed this one too. It's not as good, but it's hopefully good. Hope you haven't heard that one. But This recital is called Explorations in Jazz, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing tonight. You are going to learn a little bit, sorry. We're going to spend some time exploring jazz together. So the goal of tonight is not to define jazz necessarily, and I'm not going to tell you what it is or isn't. I started this project actually in an attempt to define jazz, and I can tell you that it really doesn't get you very far. I think our experience of the music suffers when we spend our whole time listening, trying to figure out what box it fits in. I think we've missed the point if we do that. So here's our goal. We're going to learn about jazz together with the goal of enhancing our enjoyment and experience of the music. And as we do, I want to acknowledge also that a lot of us have different levels of knowledge about the idea of jazz in general. There are some of you who probably think of jazz as kind of an out there idea. And for those of you, I just hope that tonight will make it feel more approachable, that you might even leave this recital thinking that jazz is something that you could appreciate and enjoy. For those of you who have a working knowledge about jazz and have maybe even listened to a few records, I hope that you can leave our time together with new ways to connect with the music that make it even more interesting or enjoyable for you. And lastly, I know that there are many of us in this room, myself included, who are going to school for this. We're learning about music, and that's why we're here. And so to all of you, I want to say a couple of things. First, jazz has infinite academic value. It's an art form worthy of serious academic study, and that's not what we're trying to undermine today. But secondly, I am sure you've experienced that the heart of almost all music is not purely academic. Even the music we study in music school, like Bach and Beethoven, all that, was originally made to be enjoyed, not analyzed, even if it is worthy of being analyzed. And I think that jazz is the same way. Academic musicians or academic music helps us to understand how music works, but that doesn't mean that it helps us to understand music. So in our time together, we'll think a little bit about how jazz works, of course, but mainly we'll be exploring, looking at jazz through a different kind of lens, one that values the creativity and delight and experience of the artists and listeners, past and present, because that, I'm convinced, is the heart of the music. As a sidebar, I would rather spend this time singing than talking, although there is going to be a wee bit of talking. So what I'm going to present to you today is the proverbial tip of the iceberg of research that I did for this project. And if you're interested in learning more about my research process, which you do not have to be, there is a QR code on the back of your program, and you can scan that for a paper that expands upon the stuff that I say here. So just so you know. Okay, enough preamble. Without further ado, allow me to invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy Explorations in Jazz. We're going to start out with a song called Blue Moon. And before we do, I want to spend some time thinking about what exactly it is that makes jazz jazz. So one of the most basic building blocks about jazz is something called form, which is the unique way that a jazz performance is put together. And there are a lot of textbooks that would like to think about jazz as a formula of X plus Y plus Z, but we're not going to think about it that way because we're getting at something a little bit deeper and a little more fun too. We're asking what about this music is inspiring and enjoyable. And I doubt that many of you would find this program very inspiring or enjoyable if we were spending the whole time trying to put every song into a jazz or not jazz category. So instead, what we're going to do is think about jazz as if it's a conversation between musicians. I'm going to pull from a more traditional jazz song to demonstrate because I think it's the most straightforward way for you to hear it. And so in traditional jazz, one musician, this will be me, typically sets the bass line for the conversation by singing something called the head, which is basically the basic melody of the song. So to give you an example, I'm going to sing a song called Blue Moon for all of you. You may know it, and if you do, feel free to sing along with me. I don't want to be alone. Here we go. Blue moon, you saw me standing alone, without a dream in my heart, without a love of my own. Blue moon, you knew just what I was there for, me saying a prayer for someone I really could care for. And then it suddenly appeared before me, the only one my arms could ever hold. I heard somebody whisper, please adore me. And I looked, the moon had turned to gold, blue moon. Now I'm no longer alone, without a dream in my heart, without a love of my own. All right, there we go. That's the first word in our conversation. It's that easy. But if I only sang that exact same thing this whole time, this would get very boring, so I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to repeat the same sentence over and over again. I'm in a conversation, as we've said before, so I'm also going to be inviting other people to join. I don't want to be the only one talking. So I'm going to invite the other musicians to join the conversation, and they're going to take the melody that I use and expand upon it, change it, etc., to communicate with me and with one another. So here we go. Starting out will be Connor Arterberry on piano. Here's William Reyes on guitar. And now here's me. Blue moon, you saw me standing alone, without a dream in my heart, without a love of my own. Blue moon, you knew just what I was there for. You heard me saying a prayer for someone I really could care for. And then it suddenly appeared before me, the only one my arms could ever hold. I heard somebody whisper, please adore me. And looked, the moon had turned to gold. Blue moon, now I'm no longer alone, without a dream in my heart, without love of my own, without love of my own, without love of my own, without love of my own. Thank you. Hey, there you go. It's your first, well, maybe not your first, conversation in jazz. Hooray. So I think that you can kind of see what I'm getting at here. Listening to jazz as a conversation just gets at the spirit of the music in a much deeper way than like a formula would, I think, anyway. If we were taking the formula approach, we'd be, spending the whole time anxiously trying to figure out, where's the head, where's the improvisation, is this even jazz or is it not? I don't know. But with a conversation, you're just kind of like excited to hear what every musician's gonna say next. So it's just a lot more fun and a lot more enjoyable, not only for listeners, but for artists too. It's easier to create from that space. So we're gonna have a few more conversations now, okay? We're gonna sing a few more songs. You'll notice that both songs you're about to hear are kind of upbeat, but they communicate that energy in very different ways. So hopefully this will help you hear that jazz conversations can take on a wide range of forms and tones. So first, we're going to play something a little bit moodier for all of you. It's got one of my favorite melodies and a jazz standard. I'm very excited to sing it for all of you. So we're going to do it in a fun bossa nova style as well. Here's Body and Soul. My heart and only for you I pine, for you, dear, only what haven't you seen it? I'm all for you, body and soul. I spend my days in longing and wondering why it's me you're wronging. I tell you I mean it. I'm all for you, body and soul. I can't believe it. It's hard to conceive that you'd turn away romance. Are you pretending? It looks like the ending, unless I could have one more chance to prove dear my life a hell you're making. You know I'm yours for just the taking. I'll gladly surrender myself to you, myself to you, myself to you, body and soul. Thank you. All right, a bit of a vibe check. Here's Ain't Misbehavin'. No one to talk with all by myself. No one to walk with, but I'm happy on the shelf. Ain't misbehaving, saving all my love for you. Well, I know for certain the one I love, I'm through with flirting, it's just you I'm thinking of. Ain't misbehaving, saving all my love for you. Well, like Jack Horner in the corner, don't go nowhere, what do I care? Your kisses are worth waiting for, believe me. I don't stay out late, don't care to go. I'm home about 8, just me and my radio. Ain't misbehaving, saving all my love for you. But I had a yeah, do it day. Yeah, baby, like Jack Horner in the corner, don't go nowhere, what do I care? Your kisses are worth waiting for, believe me. I don't stay out late, don't care to go. I'm home about 8, just me and my radio. Ain't misbehaving, saving all my love. Ain't misbehaving, saving all my love. Ain't misbehaving, saving my love for you. Thank you. Oh, this is so fun. I'm so glad to be sharing this with all of you. All right, if you look at your programs, sorry, I sang really loud, now my voice is all funny. You'll see that we're entering part 2 of our time together. Ooh. We've talked briefly about jazz as conversation, and now we're going to talk all too briefly about the idea of jazz as reinterpretation. And we don't have nearly enough time to get as deep into this as I want, But to understand what I mean, we're going to take a really brief look at how jazz came to be. Little history. So for those of you who don't know, jazz is actually a uniquely American art form. It comes from us and specifically from the Black community, and it was born out of one of the most horrible parts of our national history, namely our participation in the transatlantic slave trade. And West Africans who were enslaved in the United States brought with them their own cultural and musical traditions. And in the social, political, and cultural context of their enslavement and continued oppression in the United States, blues, spirituals, ragtime, and eventually jazz were born. So a lot of music academics in light of this will summarize jazz as the product of African elements plus European American elements. They love formulas, you'll see. And that isn't completely wrong, but it is mildly inaccurate. And as we've talked about before, formulas like this don't really get to the heart of the music, and that's what we want to do. So I think there's a more accurate approach that I'm going to share with all of you. It's a very long, confusing sentence, so everybody buckle in. Here we go. We good? All right, here we go. I believe that jazz is an African-American reinterpretation of European-American musical tradition. There you go. You did it. I'm going to explain that a little bit. So before the radio or record players or any of that, if you wanted music at your function, you hired a band. And in the 19th century United States, there were two popular combinations of instruments that were used for like entertainment music. So if you wanted the music to be outside, you'd probably hire like a brass band because it could project over large distances. If you had an indoor event, you'd want to hire a smaller ensemble. Think like a cornet, which is a baby trumpet, violin, guitar, upright bass, and piano. That should sound a little bit familiar, especially in areas with higher populations of people of color, such as New Orleans, which is called the birthplace of jazz commonly. Playing entertainment gigs provided work for many Black American musicians. And these musicians would be playing primarily European or American music, think, like classical music. But many of them still retained a unique approach to rhythm, harmony, melody, and timbre that came from African-American musical traditions that were passed down to them. For example, spirituals, the blues, work songs, and even West African musical traditions. So, over time, a famous performance style that you may have heard of called ragging came along. And basically, this was the practice of performing European-American music with European-American instrument combinations, but through the lens of the African-American musical tradition, the blues, spirituals, so on. They would make more interesting harmonic and rhythmic choices in their performances to make each piece a lot more their own. And eventually, Black composers like Scott Joplin would compose their own rags in this same style. And so this created a performance style called ragtime, which, if you can believe it, is a direct ancestor of jazz. So jazz, as we know it, takes what ragtime does and expands upon it a little bit. A lot of the music that we hear performed in a jazz style, including most you've heard so far, was written for Broadway by Jewish immigrants from Eastern Europe in a songwriting community known as Tin Pan Alley. And basically, it was pop music for a white American audience, but Black musicians made this music their own. Take, for example, a song called "Swonderful," which we'll play in a few here for you. It was written for the beloved musical Funny Face with Audrey Hepburn, which is great. But it also became a beloved jazz standard as well. And at the same time, some jazz musicians would compose their own music in that Tin Pan Alley style through the lenses of their various musical traditions. So this was exactly the work of composer and band leader Duke Ellington, who's one of the most prolific figures in jazz history and a personal favorite of mine. He innovated Western classical music forms with his 3-part jazz suite called Black, Brown, and Beige, telling the story of the Black experience in the United States. And he composed some incredible Tin Pan Alley style standards through his own musical tradition, including one of my favorite jazz standard of all time, which you'll hear at the very end of this program. You'll have to wait, sorry. And another that we're going to perform for you now. So here's I Let a Song Go Out of My Heart, composed by Duke Ellington. Since you and I have drifted apart, life doesn't mean a thing to me. Please come back, sweet music. I know I was wrong. Am I too late to make amends? You know that we were meant to be more than just friends, just friends. I let a song go out of my heart. Believe me, darling, when I say I won't know sweet music until you return someday. Am I too late to make amends? You know that we were meant to be more than just friends, just friends. I let a song go out of my heart. Believe me, darling, when I say I won't know sweet music until you return someday. Thank you. This next song is composed by African-American composer and pianist Earl Garner, hard name to say. And it's one of the most beautiful melodies in jazz, in my opinion. So I hope you enjoy. Look at me. I'm as helpless as a kitten up a tree, and I feel like I'm clinging to a cloud I can't understand. I get misty just holding your hand. Walk my way, and 1,000 violins begin to play, or it might be the sound of your hello, that music I hear. I get misty the moment you're near. You can say that you're leading me on, but it's just what I want you to do. Don't you notice how hopelessly I'm lost? That's why I'm following you on my own. Would I wander through this wonderland alone, never knowing my right foot from my left, too misty and too much in love. You can say that you're leading me on, but it's just what I want you to do. Don't you notice how hopelessly I'm lost? That's why I'm following you on my own. Would I wander through this wonderland alone, never knowing my right foot from my left, my head from my glove? I'm too misty and too much in love. I'm just too misty and too much in Here's wonderful. Don't mind telling you in my humble dash that you thrill me through with the tender passion. When you said you cared, imagine my emotion. I swore then and there, permanent devotion. magnifique. So what I seek, that you should care for me. C'est elegant. It's what I want. It's what I love to see. My dear, it's four-leaf clover time. From now on, my heart's working overtime. Exceptional, it's no bagatelle that you should care for, that you should care for, that you should care for me. Thank you. I love that last one. I'm so glad I got to share that with all of you. I'm going to drink some water. Okay. Now, you'll find we have arrived at, part 3 of our program. Awesome. You're doing it. We're going to talk about jazz as culture now. I think this is important to talk about because, as we've discussed previously, jazz is a product of the Black American community. So the question arises for artists like myself that are outside of this community, which is, do I have anything to contribute to this tradition? And if so, how do I do that in an honoring way, in a way that honors its foundations in a community that I don't belong to, and with common experiences of suffering that I don't share? And so as I was trying to answer this question, I came across a theologian named William Edgar. He's the author of a book called A Supreme Love. And this book introduced me to the idea of jazz as culture. Edgar says that the culture of jazz, although it shows up in an infinite variety of ways, is defined most of all by experiences of deep suffering that are transformed into a deeper joy. And certainly the collective experiences of suffering and joy within the Black community are the foundations upon which this art form rests. But what can we say about artists outside of this community who maybe can connect with or identify with this culture in different iterations? I think in illustrations, so don't judge me, but I have a silly little image that might help us understand how this could work. We're going to think about the cultural foundations of jazz like a soil, which I learned, and those of you who are close to me know, I'm an environmental science and I hate it so much. But I learned something about soil, okay? It is layer upon layer of stuff, some of which is living stuff, some of which is not living stuff. There you go. Thank you, Dr. Wakefield, for that. That provides a fertile foundation for life. And now think of anything that an artist creates like a seed. Anything that an artist plants within the cultural soil of jazz must be planted with a mindset of cultivation and care. We know that the seeds of our own unique artistry can't flourish unless we take care of both the seed and the soil. And any seed that flourishes owes its existence to the soil. And if we forget that, then both the creative seed and the soil that is its foundation are at risk at being harmed, becoming malnourished. I really hope that makes sense when we're thinking about the cultural foundations of jazz. But if it doesn't, hold on a second. We're going to perform 2 more songs for you that will hopefully help me demonstrate what I mean. These next 2 selections will hopefully display how different people across different races, times, nationalities, life experiences, and music-making traditions can responsibly contribute to this culture of jazz. So the first song we're going to perform for you is by a woman named Maria Grever. She's a prolific Mexican composer with a massive and successful body of work. I love her. This selection of hers that we're going to play for you was composed during the heyday of Tin Pan Alley, which we talked about earlier. And it's viewed through the lens of Latin American musical expression. It's called Cuando Vuelva tu lado, and it found great success when translated into English as the jazz standard What a Difference a Day Makes, which you might have heard of. However, I like the Spanish version better, so that's what I'm going to attempt to sing for all of you. The second song we're going to perform for you is called Lilac Wine, which I first heard performed by rock singer-songwriter Jeff Buckley on his 1994 album, Grace. Jeff Buckley was an integral part of the 90s rock scene, and he served as an inspiration to artists even like Radiohead. But he also had an affinity for classic jazz, and specifically Nina Simone, who is a really amazing jazz singer. And he recorded multiple standards throughout his career. And so he performs this standard through the lens of what rock was becoming in the 90s. And I think that the result is beautiful and strange and exciting, and I'm very excited to share both of these with all of you. So first, here's Cuando Vuelva tu lado. Cuando vuelva a tu lado, no me niegues tus besos, que el amor que te he dado no podrás olvidar. No me preguntes nada, de nada te explicarte, que el beso que negaste ya no lo puedes dar. Cuando vuelva a tu lado y esté solo contigo, las cosas que te digo no repitas jamás. Por compasión une tu labio al mío y estréchame en tus brazos y cuenta los latidos de nuestro corazón. Cuando vuelva a tu lado y esté solo contigo, las cosas que te digo no repitas jamás. Por compasión une tu labio al mío y estréchame en tus brazos y cuenta los latidos de nuestro corazón. Now here's Lilac Wine. I lost myself in a cool, damp night, gave myself to that misty light, was hypnotized by a strange delight. Under a lilac tree, I made wine from the lilac tree, put my heart in its recipe. It makes me see what I want to see and be what I want to be. When I think more than I ought to think, I do things I never should do. I drink much more than I ought to drink, because it brings me back you. Listen to me, I cannot see clearly. Isn't that he coming to me? Nearly here. Lilac wine is sweet and heady. Where's my love? Lilac wine, I feel unsteady. Where's my love? Listen to me. Why is everything so hazy? Isn't that he? Or am I just going crazy, dear? Lilac wine, I feel unready for my love. Feel unready for my Thank you. That might be my favorite one to sing this whole thing, I'm going to be honest. So I'm glad you enjoyed it. Alrighty, you have almost made it to the end. You know what that means, part 4. and so have I. I've also made it to the end almost, which is kind of crazy. So now we're going to shift a little bit. We're going to be talking a little bit less now about the world surrounding jazz, and a little bit more, just for a second, about jazz in my world. There are a lot of things that I could have done with my senior recital, so perhaps you're wondering why I chose to do this. The really great analogy, you remember the soil, that I made earlier, that is, the culture of jazz being the soil that an artist can grow in, is really helpful here, because really that's what jazz has done for me. It's made me much more aware and appreciative of the musical heritage I've received, and it's broadened my personal horizons of artistry as well. More than anything, jazz has given me the freedom and the ability to communicate myself more effectively through singing. And as we saw when we looked at jazz as conversation, jazz really emphasizes a particular kind of freedom when it comes to communicating through singing. The tradition is so rich with creative ways to alter melodies, rhythms, and timbres, and these have all just made me a better communicator in genres within and without the stream of jazz itself. And so when you hear me, sing in the jazz performance style, you're, hearing me tell, my own stories of artistic development, and my own experiences of pain, resilience, and joy. And so these last 2 songs are particularly special to me. The former is actually a medley of a couple different jazz standards that I first heard recorded by Ella Fitzgerald. It is long, buckle your seatbelts, but it's fun. And I suspect that my family will find this familiar because I think they've heard me sing it in the shower, or overheard me probably 100 times or more. So you'll recognize this one, I think. It was the song that made me realize that I really enjoyed singing in this style. And it was also the song that, helped me tell the story of my first heartbreak, situationship, So it occupies a poignant place for me. And then the final song that we're going to hear is the one that I alluded to much earlier when we discussed Duke Ellington. It's called Sophisticated Lady, and it is my favorite standard of all time. I feel a particular allegiance to the Billie Holiday version, which is basically how I feel about everything Billie Holiday has ever done. So listen to her, please. Exactly where, and wait, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Anyway, I love Billie Holiday. That's where we stopped. And I love it so much, this song, because I remember exactly where I was the first time I heard it. It was just so beautiful. It stopped me in my tracks. And it is such a privilege to be able to share it with all of you. I don't take that lightly. Which reminds me, before we end our time here tonight, I have a few people here that I would really love to thank. First of all, and this is, the Christian college thing, but I mean it sincerely, I would love to thank Jesus for using poor Johns to lure me to this school, and which is a 100% true story. I am not lying. And for all the people I've met here who have truly, changed my life for the better. And I am beyond privileged to have had the education that I had here. I don't take that lightly. It never would have happened without Jesus. I fully believe that. It gives me great hope for what the next chapter of my life looks like when I look back at these last 4 years. I would also like to thank my amazing band who has really just pulled through for me and helped me to put this recital together into something I'm really proud of. So first, this is Professor William Reyes on guitar. Everybody, give him a hand. Yes, thank you. Here is Connor Arterberry on piano. Thank you. And finally, hey, who's this? It's my husband, Lucas. Yay, thank you. Yes, those of you who don't know. And yeah, that's where we're going to keep going because there's a lot that I could say thank you for. So for now, I'll just say thank you for making creativity a safe place for me, a safe place that it hadn't been for a very long time. You've kept me sane through this process, and I am very grateful for you. I want to thank Professor Dromey for finding the balance of pushing me and encouraging me in a way that's helped me to grow and continually surprise myself. You have really set me up well to be a vocalist for life, I think. And an incredible thank you, of course, to my parents. For letting your child be a music major, for your consistent support, and for believing in me very, very long before I did. I love you. Alrighty. Now here's Ella's If I Give My Heart to You, Sweet. I hope you enjoy. If I give my heart to you, will you handle it with care? Will you always treat me tenderly and in every way be fair? If I give my heart to you, will you give me all your love? Will you swear that you'll be true to me by the light that shines above? And will you sigh with me when I'm sad and smile with me when I'm glad and always be as you are with me tonight? think it over and be sure. Please don't answer till you do. If you promise all these things to me, then I'll give my heart to you. Once in a while, would you try to give one little thought to me? Though someone else may be nearer your heart. Just once in a while, would you dream of the moments I shared with you? Moments before we two drifted apart. In love's smoldering embers, one spark may remain. If love still can remember, the spark may burn again. I know that I'll be contented with yesterday's memories, just knowing you'll think of me once in a while. the dream we started. I can't believe we're parted. Where are you when we said goodbye, love? What had we to gain? And when I gave you my love, was it all in vain? No, all life through must I go on pretending? Oh, where is my happy ending? Where are I've grown so lonesome thinking of you, thinking of you. All by my own self, thinking of you, thinking of you. When you were mine, dear, the world was mine, dear, and the skies were blue. Well, I've grown so lonesome thinking, thinking of you. I've grown so lonesome thinking of you, baby, thinking of you. All by my own self, thinking of you, thinking of you. When you were mine, dear, the world was mine, dear, and the skies were blue. Oh, I've grown so lonesome thinking, thinking of you, thinking, thinking of you. They say into your early life romance came, and in this heart of yours burned a flame that flickered one day and died away. Then, with disillusion deep in your eyes, you learn that fools in love soon grow wise. The years have changed you somehow, I see now. Smoking, drinking, never thinking of tomorrow. Nonchalant, diamonds are shining, dancing, dining with some men in a restaurant. Is that all you really want? No. Sophisticated lady, I know you miss the love you lost long ago. And when nobody's nigh, you cry. Smoking, drinking, never thinking of tomorrow. Nonchalant, diamonds are shining, dancing, dining with some man in a restaurant. Is that all you really want? No. Sophisticated lady, I know you miss the love you had long ago. And when nobody's nigh, you cry, you cry, you cry. Thank you all so much. Hey, it was so great to be with all of you. Thank you so much. I'll see you outside. Yes, yes. Oh, wait. We're getting a picture with all of you in it. So put on your best faces. Now you can go.
You about burst into tears after her first